Today is an amazing day. I'm super excited to have this conversation. I wanted to talk with you guys for a moment on this particular subject. My husband, he keeps flirting with other women. My husband keeps flirting with other women. You know, man, it's uh, this is one of those conversations where it's so much to uncover to where I'm trying to see the angle and the approach on how I want to talk to you guys about this. But I want to speak for a moment with the men, the husbands. Um, Sometimes let me help the women for a moment as well. I want, wives to be able to understand the thinking of a man and how he functions on a day-to-day basis. And we understand that every man is obviously different, but there's a behavior that every man carries among himself in certain lifestyles and certain behaviors and so forth. One of the things that I have noticed, and I guess I can put on my coaching hat for a moment, or even being a husband myself, or even being a minister of the gospel. I guess I can intertwine with all of it. But one of the things that I have seen over the years, I'm not speaking on something that I've studied or something that I've read. What I've seen with a lot of relationship marriages, when it comes to that husband flirting with another woman, it has everything to do with him not him wanting something from his wife, but he's not communicating that to her, or he has simply a boring wife. His wife is boring. And let me explain that for a moment because I'm not here to bash women. I'm here to help women understand the mindset of a man. Um, why she is boring? Because what he is used to and what he is accustomed to, she doesn't offer that to him. For example, if he's dealing with a woman who he's married to and she struggles with her femininity energy and she's comfortable being a hybrid between a male's energy and a female's energy, that's going to be a conflict of interest. And so typically, when a man, I know this is very broad, but I'm just going off what I've seen over the years and what I've hear man husband talks about this very often. A lot of times when a man is flirting, it has really nothing to do with him trying to be intimate with that woman that he maybe works with. It has everything to do with her persona and her energy that she's giving off. And within a man's nature, when a man in a man's nature, he craves for female energy, husband or no husband. That is the makeup of a man. And so when a man is not getting a female type of energy in the home with his wife, he's going to be curious and he's going to be open minded when it comes to getting to know that woman that he's working with or that woman that he had came into contact with. And so a lot of flirting leaves the door of opportunity. You guys know I'm a biblical based type of person from the Bible. I believe in taking the blueprint and applying it to my life. And one of the things that you have to understand about leaving a door open in a marriage, it leads to destruction. Abraham and Sarah had Hagar into the relationship all because Sarah was open and she fed into her insecurities to lead to Ishmael. And let me explain it for a moment. Where she allowed Abraham, she gave him the hall pass. You guys heard that before. The hall pass. I think that's absolutely ridiculous when you talk about the hall pass. Give a man the license to go out and to be intimate with another woman outside of his marriage. He has to have a self respect for himself. But in this particular issue, Abraham was wrong. And so Sarah told him that he can have a relationship outside of their marriage. And what happened? It brought chaos. It brought discomfort. It brought pain. It brought trauma. So sometimes in your open conversation, it might initially start off innocent, but not realizing that it has allowed other doors to open that you're not prepared for. So I see this so often in relationships to where a lot of men, and I'm not giving a man license to go out and to cheat on his wife. I don't believe in that. I know you guys know that. But I'm just speaking from a psychology standpoint on a man's perspective. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to see. And so he's flirting, and the wife is okay with that due to the fact that she doesn't have any perimeters or any standards herself when it comes to that, because she has been taught that he can look but don't touch, or it's just flirting. What happened with Eve? She was just having a conversation with someone that know how to manipulate her, because women go off what they hear, men go off what they see. I'm going to say it again. Women go off what they hear, men go off what they see, because we are creatures to where we like to see. We like to see, and we like to talk to what we see. We like to hunt what we find attractive. Or on the flip side, the woman is connected to her emotion. And so the words to her, that's her seeing. And so sometimes in relationships, especially marriages, he is flirting because he doesn't commit himself to wanting to be the best version to himself. And then you see in this relationship to where the open-minded, the curiosity eventually leads to the manifestations. And so when you look at flirting in a marriage and the husband is flirting, is the woman has to go back and say, what am I offering my husband? Or the husband is putting unrealistic expectations on his wife. That's a whole nother conversation. And so typically when you see a man that is flirting with a woman, he's really suffering in silence when it comes to asking his wife to give him something that he wants, but he don't know how to communicate that to her. And she doesn't know her husband, and she don't know how to accommodate her husband because she's very comfortable being a hybrid. But he's very attracted to a girly girl. He is very attracted to a soft-spoken girl. He is very attracted to women. He is very attracted to things that he should have probably dealt with before he ever got married. So what we have going on, we have a man who has needs, but he don't know how to communicate those needs. And then on the other side, you have a woman who is struggling being a female. She is struggling with her femininity. She is struggling with learning how to be very accommodating and very nurturing. And so now it's an oxymoron in the marriage, because you have one person have unrealistic expectations, and you have the other person that's trying to blame, saying that's not right. Or she said, hey, you can flirt, but the flirting had went from flirting to now, hey, let's grab lunch. Hey, let's grab coffee. Hey, let's start opening ourselves up to intimate conversations. So now I will use the woman. I'm gonna use the opportunity woman. We're gonna use that for the sake of the story. So what happens is that the husband is getting what he desires out of another woman, because at home he's not getting that. And so what happens is that he's not getting the nurturing. He's not getting the female energy from his wife. He's not getting the woman that knows how to be soft and very accommodating. I'm not talking about a woman that just the husband just don't respect her. I'm not talking about that type of relationship. I'm not talking about the woman just doing everything the husband say and it's not realistic. I'm not talking about that type of situation. I'm talking about a most likely a traditional type of situation that eventually leads to devastation in the marriage. I'm speaking from experience. So typically he is flirting, and flirting is not good enough anymore. Flirting, like I stated earlier, the flirting turns into a manifestation because she has heard the words from this husband, and she is just typically she is just really just been a woman, and she's really just relaxing and being comfortable in her femininity. But on the flip side, the wife at home, she doesn't necessarily operates in femininity. She operates under what she has been taught. She does not look at men the way the average woman looks at a man because maybe she has daddy issues. And so in her daddy issues, um, she is just her daddy issues has been manifest in her current marriage. And so she doesn't know how to really operate in her femininity, and she doesn't want to again acknowledge the fact that that is an issue for her. But the husband knew that before he got married to her, but he still married her knowing that this was an issue and this was a sore spot for him, and knowing at the end of the day that's not what he really wanted to marry. He wanted to marry a woman that can be soft. He wanted to marry a woman that can be kind. He wanted to marry a woman that is not comfortable going back and forth in male and female energy. And so in one degree, he kind of married a he-she, right? And what I mean by that is not to be deliberate per se, but more so of he didn't get the woman that he wanted. He got more of a woman that can operate in a masculinity energy at any given moment versus a woman that is totally comfortable being feminine. And so typically what happens is this, is the woman eventually get frustrated because she feels disrespect. Feels like her husband is disrespecting her because he is flirting with other women. And so and so with that, she now begins to be mean to him. And then the relationship was already struggling from just the standpoint of not being able to accommodate one another. It has got worse because she has now found out that the opportunity girl is communicating to her husband on a regular basis. Do you see where I'm going? So typically, what I'm finding out and what I've noticed from men, I know men who I've counseled over the years who have came to me, and they haven't been intimate with the woman per se, but they have been in conversation. They have hung out outside of the perimeters from work related stuff. They have an interest for one another. And so I've had men come to me and they're like, I don't even want to cheat on my wife, but I do like the fact that the woman that I'm in contact with, I enjoy our conversations. I enjoy our transparency. And so flirting has went from what I'm needing at home, I'm now being accommodated, and I'm now being accommodated on I'm getting what I've always wanted. And this is what I tell women all the time is if your husband is not getting it from you, he'll get it somewhere else, most likely. And so you have to know and you have to understand your husband. And I tell women, because your husband is out here in these streets, you still have to be a woman. You still have to be feminine. You still have to be strong, and you have to be able to rest in your femininity energy. Don't change your femininity energy because of what you are going through or what your husband is doing or because issues come about, and then it allows you to get out of character. It allows you to really become a hybrid in the relationship. And a lot of men, like real men, like heterosexual men, they like a feminine woman. They don't like a loud woman. They don't like women who be trying to challenge them, not in the sense of like challenge them in a positive way, but in the way of everything you saying, they trying to like, question it. Or they always have something to say. They always trying to like, oh, let me put my 2 cents in. You see what I'm saying, right? A healthy man or a man that's a man's man, he don't want to attach himself to anything like that. And like I stated earlier, I see this so often, and I want to get back to the story about the man, a guy that I was helping, I was coaching up. He was actually. I asked the question to him. I said, "Why is it that you haven't had this conversation with your wife, right?" And what I realized is that the reason why he didn't have that conversation with her is because he didn't know how to communicate, and he didn't know how to be committed to himself and to have clear vision. He thought that if he just changed the behavior, that things can go back being normal. And I told him, I said, that's not a reality, because you have a marriage, but you're living in secret. And remember, this all just started from an open-minded conversation, or an open, or a little flirting. And so his flirting eventually got him to find himself. And let me finish telling you the story. So he didn't actually be intimate with the woman. He did everything else outside of that, because in his mind, he didn't think he was cheating. Or in his mind, he thought that it was okay to do it, but long as I don't go too far. You see how like the open mind keeps you curious and it leads you to one thing after another? You see how that works? And so because he doesn't have any boundaries, and I remember him telling me this, he said to me, he said, man, I'm going to be honest with you. He's like, I just wanted to have conversation. I wasn't ever planning on doing and finding myself doing something I had no business doing. And I say, what a real man does is at some point you got to have that real conversation with your wife. Because if not, you're going to keep the relationship open even though you're not doing it anymore. Because what you're doing is living in secret. And that's a lot of relationships. That's a lot of marriages I've found out over the years just by experience and being in the trenches with trying to restore married couples. A lot of married couples are living in secrets. A lot of married couples really don't know how to communicate. A lot of married couples really don't have any healthy boundaries when it comes to marriage, when it comes to value one another, when it comes to valuing yourself. And so what typically happens when a man, are we talking about a husband that is flirting with another woman? A man typically, flirting is just not good enough for that man. I'm going to make that clear, and I'm going to say it again. Flirting is just not good enough for a man, because at the end of the day, that man, he wants to eventually be intimate with that woman he's flirting with, because his mind is curious. And this is why I try to teach women who are married, or women who desire to get married, don't give your husband the license for open conversation, for open flirting, because it's going to put you just like Sarah or just like Eve, to where it's going to take you further than what you was willing to accept. And that's the issue, is because a man is not strong enough. I don't care who he is. I don't care what platform he has. A man is not strong enough to play with fire in his bosom. He's not. And so if he's saying that he's strong enough, that means he trusts his flesh more than he trusts his reality. And typically, when a man can say that he's strong enough just to have conversation, and that's it, because a man just don't have conversation. Because a man ain't just looking for an emotional type of relationship. That's what women do. That's not what men do. I'm talking about the nature of a man. A woman can have an emotional conversation and never be intimate with that man. But that's not the makeup of a man. That's not the makeup of a man. He ain't going to just be curious, or he ain't going to just be emotional in a relationship and not expect any, and not want to do something. He's going to want to do something. I don't care what he tells you. He wants to eventually, for a man's nature, he's going to eventually want to experience what he is curious about. And so that's the reality of what I see so often in relationships and marriages, to where the wife or the potential wife or the soon to be wife, she gives them so much freedom when it comes to accountability. You cannot give a man so much freedom when it comes to the opposite sex, because you don't know the other woman's agenda. And when the woman on the curious, I mean, the opportunity woman, when she's talking to your husband and she see that he can provide for you, or she see that he can be kind, in her mind now, she want what you already have. And so she might not ever tell you that, but the truth of the matter is this, is that she want what she can't have. But because your husband has opened her up to a possibility, she's now looking at your husband as if, I can see myself with you. Or she becomes territorial about your husband. And it all comes from the flirting. That, oh man, I like I like your haircut. Oh, I like the trim. I like how your beard is trimmed. Oh, I like those shoes you got on. Oh, I like that outfit that you're wearing. That suit looks really nice on you. Or that shirt looks really nice on you. Or that color looks really nice on you. The subliminal messages. The message that should truly be innocent, but eventually the innocent turns into something a little more, oh, the praise. And now this man doesn't get praise at home from his wife. He's getting it at work. Again, I told you earlier that if he can't get it from you, sis, he'll get it from somewhere else. He'll get his praise from another woman. He'll get those compliments that he's looking for from his wife. He'll get it from another woman. And again, I want to make this clear. I don't give a man any type of license because of what is going on in his marriage at home. I tell him to fight. I say, fight for your marriage. Continue figuring out and get the necessary help before you feel like the grass is greener on the other side. And so I see this so often in relationships, to where marriages are suffering because they don't know how to accommodate one another. And then the wife feel as, oh, I'm intimate with him. I cook for him. I clean for him. I take care of his entry level needs. And let me help a woman understand this about a man, a husband. If you want to death do us apart, hear what I have to say. Marriage. You have to stop just serving your husband at an entry level. You have to learn how to become obsessed with your husband needs. And what I mean by obsessed with your husband needs, you need to know, you have to think you have to think like, oh, I know he needs this, and you're already on it. Or you have to go the extra mile. I'm not talking about trying to like be a woman just to try to please him and he's still not satisfied. I'm talking about obsessed with your marriage, obsessed with your femininity, obsessed with the fact that because you are so developed in your own self, you're able to your development is a byproduct of you just taking care of yourself. And I believe sometimes that is something that is a struggle for a woman. To really honestly be obsessed with her marriage, be obsessed with her development, be obsessed with her husband. Have a great reverence for your husband. And some women don't know how to do that because they never had a father in the home. And so they just got married without the training. And then now that she don't know how, she just barely do enough to get by. But the truth of the matter is that the husband comes from a mother who was always serving him. But his wife doesn't give that to him. The wife don't take care of herself, meaning she don't keep up with herself. Meaning that she don't clean. She has a nasty house. She don't keep up with her hygiene. She don't really focus on accommodating him regarding what he likes. She has to hear it from his mom, like, oh, my son such and such. And listen, there's an adjustment period in a marriage. I get that. And I understand that. I've been married for almost 2 decades. I know that part of a marriage. But the truth of the matter is is that they'll continue just living together. They have kids together. They have bills together. They have invested into each other's future, but yet they don't know one another. There's a lot of women who don't know much about their husband. There's a lot of women who ain't obsessed. See, listen, part of being obsessed with your marriage is you being obsessed with your femininity. Part of being obsessed with your marriage, you've learned how to practice that quiet spirit. And you don't be triggered, or you don't cringe when the Bible or when your husband saying you don't know how to submit to me or you don't respect me. Instead of you trying to argue with him, you learn how to rest in your femininity. And there's so many women who are married and their husband is giving the message, the subliminal messages, and saying, hey, I need female energy. Hey, I need you to do the small things. Hey, why is it that this woman who I work with noticed me more than my own wife? Hey, at the end of the day, the husband is he don't have any discipline, and so he can't value his marriage, and so flirting in our society is normal for a man to flirt. And I hear so many women say, "Oh, he can look, but don't touch." See, that's a mindset that what does it produce? Because when you tell a man to look, when you endorse a man for looking or for communicating to the opposite sex, and he's attracted to that person, you're not helping your marriage. What you're doing is contributing to a microwave type of marriage. What you're doing is contributing to a marriage crisis that is going on in our world, in our society. That's what you're contributing to. And sometimes you can do it very unconsciously and not realize that it has just become normal behavior to you. And so I see this so often that men who are married, they send in hearts to other women, and it's like, why are you giving that type of energy or that type of attention? And remember, if a guy is doing those things, you need to pay close attention, sister. You need to know that why is that going on? Is it something that he's trying to say but he's not saying it? And this is why it's important, women who desire to get married one day, it's important to ask the right questions. And if he can't answer those questions, he's not for you. He's not ready to marry you. Because you don't belittle or you don't downgrade your standards when it comes to just the basic one-on-one, meaning that one-on-one question. Like, if you can't answer this simple question and you're going to get offended, or you want to have this logic, you ain't ready to get married. You ready to stay single, but like the benefits of being married. And so I see that so often. I hope in this conversation that I was able to help you. I hope that my message was clear. I pray that in these conversations that we can have some feedback. If you guys, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys can subscribe, if you guys can comment, if you guys can share. We are on the quest of 100 subscribers. And what I want to do something special. When we get to 100 subscribers, I want to have a giveaway. And in that giveaway, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but in that giveaway, you would be greatly appreciated. You would actually enjoy it. And so we are on the quest. I believe the Lord has blessed us so well, so much, and I'm extremely thankful. Remember, I'm about restoring marriages. I'm about putting families together so we can have strong families that we can be strong in our communities and be stronger in our churches. I believe that the Lord is doing something great. So we'll talk soon. I just wanted to stop and give you some good I guess you would call it some good I don't even know the word. I want to be funny, but I can't even be funny, I guess. I want to give you some good tools that will help you. And I pray that you guys are keeping me in your prayer. I will be back on later today. I feel like the Lord has something for someone. And I want to be praying for every last one of you guys, that the Lord will continue allowing you to be able to see yourself the way he sees you. And in these conversations, for those who are not married, I highly encourage you to continue listen to these teachings that the Lord has given me for these marriages. And I truly believe that it will bless you and it will save you a lot of headaches. Let me get out of here. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I see you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Blessings, my people.